Hello, this is Reverend Angelia with today's Bible reading. Today's reading comes from Galatians 5, Freedom in Christ. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Mark my words. I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. And what he's saying is the ones who are keeping the Jewish tradition and going by the law. And what he's saying is, if you do that, then you're not following in Christ, because he said, come where you are. You don't have to, do all this stuff. Then, he didn't feel like, you were in Christ. But the arguments were that Christ also said to, keep the commandments, etc. So there was some debate on that. And of course, the yoke of slavery he's talking about is sin. If you're set free in the Spirit by Christ, then if you go back to being sinful in nature, then you're putting on the yoke of slavery. Again, I declare to every man who lets himself be circumcised that he is obligated to obey the whole law. You who are trying to be justified by law have been alienated from Christ. Excuse me. Because Christ said he brought a new testament, a new covenant with the people. So if you're still observing the old one, then you're not observing the new one. You have fallen away from grace. And that's one of the things Jesus talked about is, no, not one of us is good enough. If you try to attain salvation through good works, that Jesus said, that's not the way to go. But by faith, we eagerly await through the Spirit of the righteousness for which we hope. For in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision nor uncircumcision has any value. Because remember what he said, it's not the outward appearance of a man. God sees the inward appearance of a man, and that's more important than what you see on the outside. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. You were running a good race. Who cut in on you and kept you from obeying the truth? Excuse me. That kind of persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. It comes from the other team. A little yeast works through the whole batch of dough, meaning, if there's a little bit of bad in there, then that works its way through the whole deal. I am confident in the Lord that you will take no other view. The one who is throwing you into confusion will pay the penalty, whoever he may be. Brothers and sisters, if I am still preaching circumcision, because there were some sisters getting circumcised, and this was not too awful long ago in Africa, why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been abolished. As for these agitators, I wish they would go the whole way and emasculate themselves. That's kind of a rough sentence there. If you understand what he's saying there. You, my brothers, and I don't think he's talking to sisters when he's talking about emasculate yourself. So, we're called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. That's what, there's some confusion on that too. If I'm a Christian, I can go out and commit all these sins, and I'm just going to go to confession and get forgiven. That's all I can say about that. God knows. God knows. Rather, serve one another in love. The entire law is summed up in a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you keep on biting and devouring each other, hey, isn't that kind of like what's going on nowadays? Watch out or you will be destroyed by each other. And again, that's something that's going on nowadays. You know, the world is full of way too much hate, way too much deception, and people just trying to get theirs at any cost. They're not loving their neighbor. They don't give a crap about their neighbor. You know, their neighbor could die in the street for all they care as long as the money's coming into their pocket. That's what's important to them. So remember, we are to walk in love. We have freedom in Christ. And as he said, his yoke is light, his burden is easy. It's the way to go. And that's it for now. Until next time.